Concola. Minister, housing for all is non-existent in Limerick, and I'm putting the question to you now, why? Minister, am I correct in saying that Irish Water and Uisce Éireann was commissioned as a provider of safe, clean and affordable water and wastewater services for all water users? Water and wastewater services were previously provided by the local authorities. It was designed as a standalone national authority for water services. Minister, I'm asking you here today, why is this not happening? In our towns and villages are now ready to start building for our local people, our local economy. Yet, Minister, you were on a video there a couple of months ago with Councillor Kevin Sheehan. 37 years they're looking for a treatment system in Enniskeaton, promised by all the ministers outside of your own government, your government. 37 years when I was on the Derrick Council, you promised it, and yet you have yet to deliver it. It's next year, it's next year, it's next year. 37 years have passed, and Ula are without a proper sewerage system. Kilfinnan are without a proper sewerage system. Drumculloher without a proper sewerage system. Eskeaton, Abbeyfield, you go across the board. How am I supposed to ask people to come in and invest in our towns and villages when you won't give us the basic services? When are you going to make Irish Water accountable for it? In Croom, we asked them to go out and look at the services in Croom, and there's 100 houses waiting to be built in Croom. Irish Water now have come back to the builders and asked them, and the developers, to say to them, we want you now to pay us to do a survey in Croom. We've 100 houses that could be built there tomorrow morning. All we're hearing is the first quarter, the second quarter. Now Irish Water coming back, asking them now to pay for a survey, which was done before they took it over from the councils. And now there's only 300 people capacity left on the system when they're after putting down a new road. And I asked them before they'd done it, is there enough capacity here for Limerick to service Eli Lilly, which are coming to Limerick, 10 minutes in the road from Croom, when we could service that economy? Yet they put down new roads and they do not look at the services that we need. So I'm looking to service a circular economy. God forbid if you have to go to the bank tomorrow morning and look for a loan. What's the first thing they'll ask you? Can you give your projections for the next 5 years? Right? That's the first thing. They'll ask you about how you go, your projections is how many people are going to come into the area to service your business. How many for your projections? And you say, sorry, I can't do it. We have no basic water and sewerage. So my population, my towns and villages can't increase, so that means there's no business. It all comes back to infrastructure, which I've been asking all the time, and you've been promising for more than 10 years, 20 years, now 30 years, and you still haven't delivered for the people of County Limerick and Deputy. The whole counties in all of Ireland.
Minister, please.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy. And I know you're very passionate about this issue, and rightly so. We've many towns and villages across the country that don't have sufficient wastewater treatment capacity or even wastewater treatment plants full stop. And as you know, last year I announced, in addition to the €6 billion budget, capital budget that Irish Water have, they have a multi-annual plan so they can plan into the future and to deliver those projects, an additional scheme for unserved villages. And I expect to make announcements before Easter on that. And there are a number of schemes in Limerick that have been sent forward by the local authority there. Because you're right, they're really good villages right across this country that, if they had the capacity, that they would expand, and we want that to happen. We're doing it in other ways as well. The Croí Cónaithe vacancy grant, which I've extended to rural one-off houses, towns, villages, and indeed in cities. And in Limerick alone, since that grant was launched, we've 63 applications through the system. We want a lot more. We've brought back 212 properties since 2019 back into use in Limerick, vacant, derelict properties back into use. The local authority has actually been very good in Limerick at CPOing properties. They've CPO'd about 153 in the last couple of years. And in relation to Housing for All not existing in Limerick, that's just not true. And I say that respectfully. Like we've 1,220 social homes approved in Limerick in the system, another 1,600 at a pre-approval stage that we'll move through a very good pipeline. We've approved the first 2 affordable schemes in Limerick, as you'll know as well, affordable purchase, didn't exist in Limerick as well. And we have a very progressive local authority that's there, that is there too. I'm actually visiting Limerick next Monday, and you'll know in the city of Limerick as well that we've invested €116 million in the opera site and the regeneration of Limerick City itself, which will have a great positive impact on the county also. So I'll be visiting the opera site on Monday. We've approved further borrowing there also. We have a number of very significant sites, you know, Cleve, the Cleve site there too, an excellent development team, Limerick 2030, who work very closely with myself and with the department. So there's a lot to be positive about Limerick as a city and that region as well, because this government's committed to the regions and developing in the regions. And I've given you some examples of what we're doing. I'm also visiting, you'd be glad to know, another private development in Patrickswell, 111 new homes there, that people will be able to access the First Home Scheme, which is the equity scheme to bridge the gap between the finance that you have and the finance that you need, which again is in Housing for All, which we've over 900 approvals in 6 short months, 900 homes for real families there. So it's good to see private development there happening too. There are other things that need to be done, and we need to expedite the delivery of wastewater treatment, particularly in areas that don't have systems at the moment. And I expect to make announcements in that regard in advance of April, and I'll keep yourself fully informed of that, Deputy.
Thank you, Minister. I'm glad you brought up the 2030, because I'm a former member of that board myself, and I understand the investment. But all the investments that you have actually named out today are actually in Limerick City, and I want Limerick City to thrive. Patrickswell is actually run by the local authority under the city councillors. I'm talking about county, and that's where I want to go. It's Limerick City and County Council, so the funding should come to city and county councils. If you look at Limerick as a whole, right, and if you look at the Land Development Agency, it only covers from 10 to 15 minutes from the cities. That takes out more than 2/3 of Limerick County. That's where I'm saying you're not looking outside of the 15-minute window, because the city's in the corner. The county of Limerick goes all the way to Abbeyfield, all the way over to the Mitchelstown border, and that's what you've forgotten about. That's where you're not putting in the investment. Now, I do welcome the investment that is coming to Limerick, but I want it to come to all of Limerick. All of it. You promised in the scheme that you would deliver. You still haven't delivered it yet. When are you going to deliver? And it's great you're promising these things. Promises, where can I cash promise? I can't cash that anywhere. Promises are no good to me unless you fulfill your promise. And I will stand over it, and I will make sure that you do deliver for county and city. Thank you.
Look, Deputy, I've given you a number of examples of investment, not just in Limerick City, across the county. If you look at Castletroy as well, we've approved. Yeah, it's Limerick City and County Council. The city will drive the region too. We're committed to the county of Limerick as well. And I've given you a number of real examples. Sorry, I've given you a number of real examples of what we're doing there. I've also said to you, Deputy, in relation to the Rural Towns and Villages Sewage Scheme, I'll be making announcements on that before Easter this year, okay? And they include schemes in Limerick. They're being assessed right now by the EPA, my own department, and by Uisce Éireann also. And that provides additionality. That's outside of Irish Water's own capital programme. And for the first time, Irish Water and Uisce Éireann did need to see that they had the security of a multi-annual programme. So they know they have their capital between now and 2026. That's why we're seeing the ramping up of the delivery of much-needed infrastructure right across the county, the counties in the Republic, including Limerick. So Limerick County is not forgotten about by this government. I can absolutely assure you that. I can absolutely assure you of that. Minister Niall Collins and others as well, and Minister Kieran O'Donnell, government colleagues there, Minister O'Donovan as well, and yourself indeed, you know, will ensure that this is kept to the forefront of the agenda. But I'll be making announcements with regard to those schemes before Easter.
Good.